Welcome back to the Folly Town, where we go over all of the worst things that happen in our culture and on the internet. Subscribe, or Mr. Krabs is gonna cut your butts off. You're cooked. In today's video, the future of gaming is gonna be you own nothing and you will be happy. Everyone should hate this. Why Xbox Studios keep failing, the Freedom Trap. Live service games are done for. Like this video right now. Let's get it on. Starting off with the critical drinker, the critical gamer, going over how you will own nothing and you will be happy, or else.
Dear viewer, it's a summer's day in 1999, the peak of our civilization. You walk down to your local video game store, you browse the shelves of exciting new PlayStation titles that you've read about in your favourite gaming magazine, and after a bit of thought, you part with some of your hard-earned cash for a brand new
Dude, don't even get me started on the gaming magazines. They used to be my life.
Title. Later that day, with the sultry breeze of a warm evening sighing through your bedroom window and the unknown possibilities of adventure in the air, you break that cellophane seal for the first and last time, pop the disc into the console, and hear that familiar startup sounds.
Yeah, it's all going away, man. Such a vibe.
And that's it. You're ready to start gaming. No downloads, no patches, no installs, no monthly fees or rental agreements. For the rest of your days, that game is yours to play whenever you see fit.
Until it rots away.
You take a sip of soda, settle back into your chair, and get ready for an evening of fun.
That's another thing, like, disc rot is a thing. Why don't they reprint old games? Why don't they have new versions of the old consoles? We just always have to have this bigger and better, and we never just, like, make the old thing better, you know? More efficient.
Now fast forward a little. It's 2029 and you're sitting alone in your $10,000 a month one-bedroom studio apartment. A half-eaten bowl of congealed ramen noodles resting on your worn-out couch beside you as you scroll mindlessly through the PlayStation Store on your rented TV, perusing the bland, corporatized list of quintuple A titles.
I haven't used a PlayStation since the end of the PlayStation 3 era, right before the PS4 came out. And then I hopped right back out and right into PC, and I jumped right into Linux immediately.
On offer, all of them approved by Sweet Baby Inc., and none of them costing less than $150. Not including the monthly renewal fee, of course. After a lot of thought about how you're going to afford the rent this month, you finally choose one, more out of obligation than desire, because you need something to play. I mean, what else are you going to do? Go out? That sort of thing went out of fashion the moment the government brought in the walking tax of 2027.
I just go out into nature now. I go on a lot of hikes.
Anyway, there's a pretty high chance you'll get culturally enriched all the way to the
I also live on a farm, so I just do things on the farm.
Emergency room, so you know it's not a viable option anymore. Now that you've chosen your game, the 30-hour download process begins, so you put the console into rest mode, let out a weary sigh, and start doom-scrolling on your phone. 2 days later, with the download complete, the day 1 patch and the 3 online updates finally installed, you're ready to play. So you power up the console again, sit through the 10 minutes of mandatory commercials because you didn't pay extra for the ad-free version of the PS6. But oh no, your PlayStation Plus Elite Premium membership hasn't renewed because you spent the last of your money on the game, which means you can't access it anymore. You also can't access any of the other titles you've downloaded and paid for. Oh well, no gaming for you. And in that moment, something snaps deep inside you. With trembling hands, you quietly power down the console, rise unsteadily to your feet and walk over to the window, heaving it open for the first time in what seems like years.
And then you hop right the fuck out of it.
Rusting hinges protest against your effort, and cold, smog-filled air rushes into the room. It chills you to the bone, but you almost welcome it. Anything for the chance to feel something again. You look out across the
want to
dreary
feel.
cityscape around you, the dirty streets, the crumbling infrastructure, the heavy grey sky overhead.
Welcome to Ready Player One, but worse. Because at least Ready Player One wasn't just filled with ads.
And for a moment, you think back to that bright, optimistic kid you once were on that warm summer night a lifetime ago, excitedly clutching the controller in your hand, listening to the click and whir as your PlayStation loaded up your game for the first time, a whole new world of adventure and...
Like, we've gone past sci-fi when it comes to dystopia in a lot of ways. Like, all of the dystopian sci-fi shit I see with ads and everything, and like premium subscriptions, it's not this bad.
promise just waiting for you, and you wonder to yourself, what became of that kid? What became of that world?
Moving on! Charles White is going over why exactly you should be hating all of this, and how this is definitely illegal or should be.
I wasn't around to witness the extinction of the dinosaurs, nor was I there to see the death of the final saber-toothed tiger.
Same.
But boy howdy, I am lucky enough to be here to witness the extinction of physical games. I swear, Sony treats physical media the same way the Men in Black treated people that witnessed alien activity. Get the neuralizer out, look here. No such thing as discs, there's only digital. They
Forget that we made fun of Xbox over a decade ago.
have now just driven the final stake in the vampire's hearts, the evil menace known as physical media. They have announced that they are ending physical production in January 2028 for new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. For those that don't know, this means there will never be a physical disc for a PlayStation game, even if it's not a first-party title, because in order to even have a physical game on Sony's platform, it has to go through Sony. Thus, there will no longer be that green light, that thumbs up that lets you make a disc for their platforms. It is
So, are they done with the boxes too? Or are you still gonna get the boxes with, like, digital codes and shit? 'Cause I can... If we're still getting those, well, I'm not gonna be getting it because I'm not getting a PlayStation. But if people are still gonna be able to get those, how long is that gonna last? And also, like, what's the point of it without a disc?
only digital going forward. There is only Zool. It's unhinged insanity because this comes only days after Sony just pulled...
Well, 80% of people get non-physical versions of games. Well, that's probably because most games nowadays don't even come with a physical version.
over 500 movies from customers' accounts that they paid for while offering no refunds
See, this is why I haven't paid for movies in, like, I don't know, a decade.
for it. So customers had 500 movie titles that have now just fizzled into the ether, into the fucking back rooms in Sony.
As soon as they removed one, what was it, The Interview? As soon as they removed The Interview, I was out on it. And then later, Xbox removed access to their movies. Yeah, I was completely out on buying movies from these services. I wish there was, like, a place I could buy DRM-free movie files, like GOG, but for movies. And I want one for music, TV shows.
He says, suck our dick. You don't even get your money back. So you paid for limited access to these films. You rented them fundamentally, even though you were under the impression
They should at least give credit or something. Let people just buy things off of the PlayStation Store.
that you were buying them and owning them. But because of this digital landscape, you don't own anything. You are paying for a ticket that gives you access for a set amount of time, depending on the companies or depending on the licensing. The movies are getting pulled because of a licensing issue with Studio Canal, but it's Sony's platform, and now all the customers...
Sony's not the only one who does it. Xbox is actually worse about pulling games. Go ahead. Go buy Forza 4. Forza Horizon 4. Maybe even Forza 4. You can't do it.
that wasted their clams on it have nothing to show for it. It's just a void. It's blank now. You will own nothing and be happy, and Sony shamelessly makes this announcement in light of that, while also announcing that they're shutting down the PSN store for PlayStation 3 and PS Vita, meaning hundreds, if not thousands, of digital games that existed on those platforms are now gone forever.
Remember when Rockstar removed the access to the original GTA Vice City and GTA 3 and San Andreas because they had the definitive versions coming out, and that was the definitive version?
And not preserved because
You
there
gotta
wasn't
play that
physical
one.
copies of them.
It's the truest experience.
were just digital titles there. So they are genuinely right in your face, hitting fucking Fortnite emotes on that ass, laughing and goatsing in front of you, showing like, yeah, you will own nothing and be happy. Look, we just took down this store.
Oh, yeah, damn right. If buying isn't owning, you know what I mean?
Revoking your access to these games that you paid for. They're gone, Buster, and there's nothing you can do about it, Slime. Not even the Dragon Balls could wish these back into existence. Shinron is powerless against PlayStation. But let's not get too rambunctious off rip. Maybe they've got a really good reason for it. In response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. Oh, shifting trends. You mean like how when GTA just announced with no physical edition, people were rightfully fuming, pointing out how awful that is in light of everything that's happened in this industry, where you can just have your access to the things you purchased revoked at any point in time. So if you don't have something physical, you literally own nothing. You own the idea of something. It's imagination. SpongeBob and Patrick in the Box.
You own the temporary access to the thing that they're allowing you to use. It's just renting with a one-time fee for now. GTA Plus is a thing.
Imagining that they own their games right now when it's digital only. So if anything, the shifting trend in consumer preference is swinging back the other way to preferring physical media, because of how bad this whole digital only shit has been. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical disc to digital,
because you're forcing it, and you don't allow an easy path for, like, indie titles and retro titles to get new physical copies, and that's what people are buying. They're not buying your new slop. It's those goy flops. Give me a fucking break here, man. And people want to argue, well, PC hasn't had physical in years. Yeah, I wish it fucking did. The Skyrim box, remember the Skyrim box, or, like, the Elder Scrolls boxes? That shit was so cool. I miss that.
Physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued in January of 2028. Also, again, a load of barnacles, this is horseradish. People are wanting more physical now. Like, for me personally, I've been a big advocate of physical media for at least like the last year and a half.
We want better physical media. What's the point of buying a physical disc if it's basically just a code anyway? Because they're just gonna patch it and update after update. There's not even a point. The disc is meaningless.
Half, if not 2 years, because of this trend that we've been seeing of just losing access to what you've spent money on.
Honestly, I want to go to cartridge-based, make the game smaller. I think Nintendo had the right idea, except for they wanted to go with that fucking digital thing, where it's basically just a code. Then what's the point of printing the actual game on the cartridge? What's the point of having the cartridge at all at that point?
You're buying nothing. You are not buying anything. And they're just dangling their dicks right in front of our faces. Ubisoft unapologetically said consumers need to get more comfortable not owning their games. Like, how can you possibly be supportive of this? And people aren't. Like I said, I think the preference is shifting away from digital in light of wanting more physical.
The reason that people have shifted away from physical in the first place is because physical is bullshit now. You don't get a manual. You don't get any cool boxes, any cool special editions. The disc is meaningless because it's not actually the game that you end up with.
Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that already released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. Also, something worth noting, this doesn't... Like, they're saving a lot of money on not making physical games anymore, but it's not going to reflect in the pricing. The games are still going to be $70, $80 games.
$100, actually. They're going to give you the lower tier for like $70, $80. This is what we were complaining about 10, 20 years ago. They tried doing this shit. Now they're trying to bring it back, where they remove features from a game and sell it to you as extra content. But this time they're doing the day one DLC not as extra content. It's literally just the full experience. And it's gonna happen more and more. Rockstar has paved the way.
So, like, you're still getting slapped around with the pricing. It's not like this is gonna bring down the cost of a now spiraling out of control industry. This is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue to prioritize...
You want to know why people aren't buying your games, it's because you're full of shit. You don't realize that people are buying physical games. It's just older physical games. And from third-party retailers. And from each other. In, like, Facebook Marketplace. Because you fucked up. This, like, corporations have completely fucked up. They have lost the way.
Prioritize our resources to drive innovation and how players can access games and provide choices.
Fuck innovation! We don't need any more innovation. We need to go back and innovate on what we already had.
As to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or the PlayStation Store, we remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support. Hey pal, you just blew in from Stupid Town? If you are a digital-only platform, why the fuck would anyone choose you over Steam? Like, genuinely. You have a worse store,
Let's not even talk about Steam. Let's talk about PCSX2. Because whether they like it or not, that's one of their major competitors, and it's fucking free. And you're using Sony's games to run it.
You shut down your stores too. You literally just shut down the PS3 store and PS Vita.
Yep, our PCSX3
one, so people wouldn't even feel comfortable buying from your store, considering at any point in time they'd have to be like living in fear that you're going to swoop in like the boogeyman and take away the things they bought. You have a much weaker store in terms of titles than Steam, so why would they choose you? Like, yes, it is more expensive.
You know what would be cool? If you could, like, create your own dashboard, like you can with PCSX2.
To build a PC that can handle, like, you know, more high-end gaming, but there are solid entry-level PCs out there, and yes, while PS5 is cheaper than that right now, I imagine the PS5 prices are going to go up as well, reflective of Xbox price increase.
And I just don't see myself buying any PS5 games. Any PS5 games that I would buy, I'd rather just get it on PC or do without. I'm all about PS2 and PS3 right now, baby. They need to get their shit together. Go back. Need to go back.
I think that's the writings on the wall. There's going to be a price increase pretty soon. So eventually the gap's not going to be that big.
A price increase for, like, top of the line stuff. If you go out and get old stuff, used stuff, like I'm using a Pentium Silver laptop for DOS games. Because I've been DOS gaming a lot. Like, I fucking hate how everything is just bigger and better, biggest and best. If it wasn't even like that in the PS2 days. Because even, like, PS2 and Xbox being biggest and best, I had that. I had those. And I was still on my computer, or my grandpa's computer, playing, like, AndCon and Newgrounds and shit. Those games, kinda, technically, in comparison, were trash. But they were amazing. And they were small.
Big in terms of, like, price discrepancy between PS5 and PC. And again, PC has a much more robust catalog of games to choose from in the digital-only format with Steam. So why the fuck would anyone ever even consider shopping exclusively on the Sony PlayStation Store after you keep going scorched earth on physical media and taking away people's products that they bought, thinking that they owned them? Like, the way they're treating this shit, I wouldn't be surprised if they start going door to door, treating people that own physical PlayStation discs like terrorists. Like, excuse me, we're going to need to sweep the premises here. We need to check your house. Do you have physical discs here? We got
like the SWAT meme.
And they just start, like, taking it physically out of your hands to make you shop at the store. A store which, by the way, is more expensive shopping digital only on older titles. So if you bought the physical copies for some of the games here, like this tweet illustrates...
Like, seriously, they're competing with free. What are they doing?
You saved money getting the physical edition on, like, God of War, Ragnarok, Gran Turismo, those kind of things. But now that that's off the table...
Do they even think about piracy at all? Other than just trying to stop it? Because whether they like it or not, that's their competition.
Going forward, these games presumably are never going to get cheaper on the PlayStation Store because they're still charging full price for these older games on the...
You gotta have a service that people are willing to pay for over just pirating. If you can't do that, then you're fucked.
Their store. So they're looking to even make more money off of going digital only when getting physical down the line has been cheaper. Now they fully got it by the titties here. They fully control it directly. So they never have to bring the price down because there's only digital options to choose from now. You can't get a physical edition now for these upcoming games. Thus, the price doesn't ever have to go down if Sony doesn't want it to, and it looks like they...
I think we should be able to make our own. I think they should release all of their games for free, and we just, like, start manufacturing cartridges and retro consoles that are offline that are just like PS2s or something. If we don't start doing it, China's going to start doing it because there's a market for it. People are hungry for it. I've been hearing a lot of people talking about it.
They really don't want it to. Still paying full price for some of these older titles to this day. Now let's take a peek at the bright future of digital only with Sony's immaculate track record of having stores that they shut down and take away the shit that you spend your money on. This is their announcement about shutting down the PS3 and Vita store. After nearly 2 decades of supporting the PS3 console generation, we wanted to let you know we'll be closing the PlayStation Store on PS3 as well as Vita. PlayStation Store on PS3 will close in select markets starting this year, followed by global pressures for PS3 and Vita next year. That means new content purchases will no longer be possible once the PlayStation Store closes on these devices. To ease the transition, players will still be able to download previously purchased content after the closing date for the foreseeable future.
For how long?
As the PlayStation Store continues to evolve to support modern commerce systems, including updated payment processing standards, PS3 and Vita are no longer able to support these updates at the level required. As a result, we will need to close PlayStation Store on these devices in the timeframes as followed. They then list out the time frame where eventually life support will be pulled on July 2027.
They're about to be even worse with the emulation. Well, better for us. Worse for Sony. Because now they're just basically setting it free. They could be making a new PS3 and re-release these games, but nope. They gotta go for that live service. New, bigger, better.
That's doomsday. We know this news may be disappointing to PS3 and Vita players who hold a special place in their hearts for this generation of gaming. They represent an important era in PlayStation history.
Then why'd you do it?
Decision. As they continue to expand the PlayStation experience
decision.
on newer devices, most of our users are playing on today. We need to focus more resources on delivering the best gaming experience on these platforms as we look towards the future. To our amazing players, we want to give our heartfelt thanks for your ongoing passion and support, which they love to keep wiping their ass with, by the way. Thanks for all the passion and support, Sony fans. We're going to keep taking away your games, by the way, and no physical media, by the way.
Yeah, while the Stop Killing Games shit's going fucking haywire.
Thank you again. Big thumbs up. Come give us a fist bump. Which has helped inspire us to shape PlayStation into what it is today. What? A pile of dog shit? It's insulting. We're excited for the future ahead as we continue to push the boundaries of play. We look forward to having you on this journey with us as we explore new game worlds and new adventures that have yet to come. What a heartfelt message.
Yet to come right all over your faces.
To the community and to gamers worldwide. Hey, you should shop with us digitally. And yes, we might just shut it all down at some point, so everything you spent hundreds if not thousands of dollars on will vanish, and you have no recourse. That's just something you're gonna have to live with.
Yeah, this should be fucking illegal. It's not gonna be because they're corporations. International corporations at that. Tied to payment processors.
Why aren't you getting your wallet out? Why are you guys not shopping on PlayStation Store right now? This is exciting. This is coming from a place of passion. We're pushing boundaries here for a generational experience for our community. We're doing everything. We're bending over backwards for you bitches. You're so selfish. What?
Don't you know we got God of War Laundry coming out? Or whatever it's called?
You want to own your games? Are you crazy? You want to own your games? No. You think you want to own
Intergalactic!
your games, but you don't want to own anything. You want us to control it. You want us to take it away at some point. You want it digitally. Please, come on, get in here. It's stupid, man. It's so stupid. They're so out of touch, it's painful. Naturally, everyone's pointing to this with the PS4 where they showcased, here's how you share your games on PS4, and then they hand each other the physical copy and say thanks. This was a massive dunk at the time, pushing back against a lot of shit we were seeing the industry starting to do at that point already with how they were handling, like, sharing games and such. And this was...
Just use your mobile hotspot, bro. Just use your mobile hotspot. That's what I was hearing about verification status for games, so you'd be able to verify that you actually purchased them. People were saying, well, you gotta connect online. You just use your phone, bro.
Was Sony lat spreading here and making disc-based games a large part of the PS4's identity, which became a big selling point at the time that really propelled it above the competitors. And they made it clear with PS4 that physical was something they valued greatly and, like, the importance of being able to...
Yeah, I don't compromise on shit anymore. If you do shit just a little bit that I don't like. I'm completely out. There's so many 10 out of 10 decisions, 10 out of 10 games elsewhere. I don't need it, man. My backlog and my front log, there's still so many games that I haven't bought or unconventionally acquired. Like I said, I'm getting into DOS here recently. There's so much, especially in the point and click adventure games.
To share a game back and forth, physically passing it to one another. This was a huge, huge successful campaign that they ran about that. So a core part of PlayStation's identity, not even that long ago, was these physical discs and being able to share the physical discs like that. Look at us now. Look at how quickly shit's changed. And changed for the worse. Significantly worse. There are no benefits to this change. There is no one that should be excited about this, because why would you as a consumer...
Well, I could think of some benefits. Everything is going to become more free now, because more people are going to be unconventionally acquiring everything.
Even want to have the chance that what you bought disappears. You spent your money on it. You should own it.
I mean, you can get it back. There's a way to get it, you know? If they took it away from you, would that be illegal? If Sony pulled this out of your libraries and you went and unconventionally acquired it? I mean, you paid for it and they took it away.
But you don't. And they're not even being honest with you about what you're doing. You're not even buying to own, you are renting from them. They're not even calling it what it is, which is renting. You are getting admission to this product, a license to this product for...
And it pisses me off that politicians don't fucking care about this. They want to push trans libraries, but like when it comes to actual shit that people want, it's crickets.
However long they deem necessary, or however long their deals with the licensor, like in the case of the movies, lasts. But you as a consumer could very well end up with nothing, like they just take it away from you. That shouldn't be something you're okay with. Like, it shouldn't. If you are okay with it, you're wrong for being okay with it. I'm just going to tell you right to your face.
Spec Ops the line.
You should own what you are spending your money on here in this industry. And they're not even advertising it as anything other than you owning it. They're trying to mislead you with what's actually happening in this digital-only process. And it's just out of control. It is truly out of control.
And so many people are defending it. Just like they defend all of the bullshit. There's so many people that defend it. I don't get it.
I can't, I had a hunch that Sony was going to go this direction, especially after the GTA 6 announcement. I had a feeling, I think most people kind of had a feeling in their gut, but I didn't think it would be this quick. This is a week later that they're just boldly, brazenly making this announcement that
They made 5 terrible announcements all at once and then ditched their social media for now.
Wiping their ass with physical media. Disc-based games, they're going to be gone soon. I thought it'd take still a couple more years before they felt confident enough to just pull the rug there and just say, all right, it's gone. But yeah, they did it, and it really sucks. Anyway, that's about it. So yeah.
Next up, we have Laura Fryer talking about exactly why Xbox specifically is having issues, and we've known about these issues for years and years.
We've all heard the dream. Give creative studios total freedom and they will make magic. But at Xbox, that dream has turned into a very expensive nightmare. This is what I call the freedom trap.
Every corporation,
creative freedom
really.
is incredible. It's completely okay to explore niche ideas, tell personal stories, or even include messages the publisher wants to see in your game. That's your choice as a creator. The issue isn't what you make. The issue is when you explore higher risk or niche topics, but still build the team, the budget, and the timeline as if it were a mainstream blockbuster. It's when you don't test those ideas early with real players to see if there's actually a market before making a blind commitment.
I don't even think it matters if there is a market. I think that it's just becoming too expensive. You have to downsize. You can't just keep doing the bigger and better. You got to make Xbox 360 era games again.
Everyone could see that Keeper was a short, surreal, artistic, niche game. Yet nobody seemed willing to have the hard conversation about realistic expectations and scoping the project accordingly.
You know, he's just like, what's the most unpitchable idea that I could present to Microsoft, who's stuck with us, and see if they approve it? And it did. And so we're just like, okay.
You have to scope the project and the team size to match the
I never saw that before.
Otherwise, you're not being brave. You're being reckless with other people's careers. Imagine you're a parent watching your kid play near a busy street. You want them to explore, be creative, take risks, learn. You don't want to be a helicopter parent who controls every move. But if you're too hands-off, that kid can run straight into traffic.
Like
Good leadership,
Roblox.
whether you're a parent or running a huge gaming division, is that
You know what
constant,
happens on Roblox.
difficult balancing act. You give autonomy, but you also set clear boundaries and step in before things go off a cliff.
I have a pretty strict rule about not sticking my nose into game design. I am here to tell you, and I will say, that our goal is to change as absolutely little about this studio as possible.
That's why these jobs are so tough. Too much control kills creativity. Too little control wastes hundreds of millions of dollars and
Gotta have
ends
passion.
careers. And that's exactly
You can't just be making games and media for money anymore. There's no money in it. You got to have passion. You got to be willing to make games for a few who will pay more without you asking for more.
what went wrong here.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow.
After Microsoft started buying up studios and doubling down on Game Pass, the message to a lot of teams became, go be creative, fill the service. Sales aren't the main priority anymore. And then leadership stepped back too far. Many studios heard that and ran with it. They were growing their teams, they were extending their timelines, they were chasing ambitious, niche ideas. They were doing what they were encouraged to do.
You do need to go for niche ideas, but it can't be just like random. You have to know your community and don't alienate your audience, because that's a problem a lot of them do. They alienate the audience and then they try and spend $300 million to create a new audience.
How much were we spending? What was the goal? Little by little, we added more people, and it was like a train that we couldn't stop.
But when the rules changed and the focus shifted back toward profitability, a lot of those projects couldn't stand on their own. And this is where we are today. I've been through many acquisitions and I've watched many fail. When a company gets acquired, they often forget how to run a business. They listen to the siren song of their new masters and they lose what made them great in the first place.
You pitch RAD, I very much developed RAD around the idea of
I never even heard of this.
because I knew how much money we had to get for it. I knew no one was going to give us that much money unless it was attached to an understandable genre that was making money at a small scale.
Why do the graphics look so good? Not like good as in actually good. Good as in, why are they look expensive for such a small style game? Like, what were you thinking?
I like roguelikes. It wasn't like I made something I didn't want.
Look at Double Fine in San Francisco as a clear case. Microsoft acquired them in 2019 when they were still a smaller, more nimble indie studio. After joining Xbox, the team grew from around 40 to 60 people to roughly 100 employees in one of the most expensive cities in the world.
It's a new Double Fine. We remodeled. This is our new space. This is Suite 208. We have a multi-purpose board game area and yoga space.
What the fuck? Why? There's the immediate sign for failure right there. Yoga space. Just do the fucking work, man. That's how you know that they're not actually passionate.
Since then, they've shipped Psychonauts 2, Keeper, and Kiln. Both Keeper and Kiln peaked at only around 190 concurrent players on Steam. They got decent Game Pass trials, but almost nobody bought them at full price. Keeper did pick up some awards and nominations for its art direction, its visuals, and accessibility, but this is where the industry bubble comes in. Games can get reviewed well and even win awards while having very little commercial success. You saw this with Mixtape. It's already getting early.
By the way, okay, going back to the yoga thing, I just made a connection. Have they never seen Grandma's Boy? I don't think they have. Because the leader of the game studio in Grandma's Boy was like this yogi freak.
Awards buzz, despite modest sales and plenty of debate about whether or not it even feels like a traditional game. Remember when Phil Spencer talked about Redfall's pre-release mock reviews? He mentioned they were internally expecting high 80s, but the game landed much lower. That's a classic bubble problem.
On the score, yeah, we do mock reviews for every game that we launch, and this is like double digits lower than we thought we would be.
But here's where it gets complicated. It's easy to look at numbers and blame corporate greed, and sure, there's some of that. but I've lived this exact situation. At one point, I was running a bunch of studios and we had just acquired 2, and they couldn't be more different. One was focused and successful, and the other one was a cash fire with a very ambitious project. When we toured the successful studio, they actually had buckets on the rafters so that when it rained, they could catch the water.
Yeah,
the
that's
other
passion.
Studio had just moved into one of the biggest, most expensive waterfront offices available.
And if you play Game Dev Simulator, Game Developer Simulator, or whatever it is on Steam, and you get to the point where you're generating like hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, and you've got like 100 people on a team, it becomes difficult to manage, and it's easy for it to fall apart. You start like coming up with ways to make money. You start doing crazy deals. You start just making things that you know will make money, and then eventually they don't make money, even though you know for a fact they will make money. Obviously, they've never played that game. They just don't play games. They're doing yoga.
We immediately got to work fixing both, upgrading the leaky office and getting the other studio out of their expensive lease and into a more reasonable location. Was it easy to tell the failing studio they had to move? No, it sucked, okay? I caught a lot of heat. People were really upset. It was not fun. But I knew it was the right thing to do for the long-term viability of the studio. I wanted to keep as many talented developers as I could. So this isn't a new pattern, and it has shared accountability. Double Fine could have stayed leaner. They could have moved to a lower-cost location. Microsoft could have stepped in with clearer boundaries sooner, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, Microsoft doesn't know what the fuck they're doing.
The guys who are in charge.
Just look at Windows. Their biggest product, and it's failing. And it's so hard that they've had to acknowledge it.
Booty and Phil Spencer, top-notch dudes. Super respect those guys. They're great. They're gonna come in.
This right here is part of the problem, too. This guy is super fucking lame. So you know that all of the ideas that he has are super fucking lame, too.
Smile point. You guys keep on doing what you do. Woo, we're like, yeah! 2 days later, Steve from accounting and Bill from marketing shows up. Then we have problems.
Steve from accounting and Bill from marketing.
We saw some of the same issues with Redfall and Perfect Dark. Massive talent exodus, morale problems, slow progress, teams that even hoped Microsoft would...
I think the biggest problem that we have is a lot of these devs and a lot of these people that are working on these projects are just super fucking lame, dude.
Cancel or reboot the projects. The red flags were everywhere, yet action wasn't taken soon enough. This is the freedom trap in action. Creative freedom is incredible, but it has to be managed. What Microsoft did was hand out broad freedom across the entire portfolio. They scaled up studios for Game Pass volume without keeping the old portfolio discipline that provided real oversight and course correction.
Today, we're double that size or greater. We're part of a first-party organization. We're part of one of the largest content-producing organizations in the world now, and well on our way to making State of Decay 3 with a much greater level of ambition and support behind us.
You can't lock in massive scope, long schedules, and big teams while expecting every game to work, especially when Game Pass makes it much harder to judge real commercial demand. No.
Yeah, they just did a whole bunch of shitty long-term decisions for a bunch of short-term cash.
Nobody, not Satya, not Phil, not Sarah, not the studio leaders, nobody put on the brakes when the warning signs were obvious. Right now, under Asha Sharma...
Yeah, they're throwing Asha under the bus. Guarantee you, at whenever it's all said and done, she's either going to leave and go somewhere else, she's going to fail upward, she's probably going to get promoted to a higher position at another company, or they're going to completely fire her and blame everything on her. They're going to do that either way.
Sharma's leadership, Xbox is in the middle of a major reset.
Xbox will keep investing, but we've got work to do. You shared the numbers. We're not in a healthy spot. And so,
Dude, I reported this on Threads, and people pushed back against it. They were like, oh, the Xbox is in a healthy spot. What are you talking about? I'm like, bro, did you not fucking watch the interview?
Next 100 days is going to be about resetting the business.
There are strong rumors that several studios, including Double Fine, are in serious negotiations and could be on the chopping block.
There's so many small ones too. Oh, this one pisses me off. I was actually excited for Senua because I like the Senua games, the Hellblade games. I mean, they're short cinematic experiences, but I'm fine with that. I didn't pay much money for them. I got them for like $5 each. So I was excited that they were going to actually focus on gameplay and make a longer game. But I'm not going to get it if that's the end of the fucking studio.
This is the direct consequence of years of the Freedom Trap playing out. The bill is finally coming due.
We want to take bigger creative risks and create genre-defining games without the constant threat of annihilation.
Yeah, they're going to say that and then get rid of everything that isn't Gears of War or Halo. And nobody wants Gears of War or Halo. Everybody's hyped for it, for the new Gears of War and Halo, but you're going to get it and it's going to be meh. They might be great, but then it's just going to be downhill again.
We want to make our own games our own way and not be told what to make and how to make it.
But you keep making sequels. You can't make your own games if you're making nothing but fucking sequels and remasters and remakes, reboots.
This reset is painful and it's incredibly frustrating. A lot of talented people who poured years of their lives into these games are going to lose their jobs and see their teams broken up.
Too bad. Put the fries in the bag, bitch. We've been warning them for years not to go down this road. And so much fake pushback, so many chronic defenders, and here we are.
It sucks, and it's okay to say that, but the correction was overdue, and it was always going to happen.
Yep.
Pain deferred is pain multiplied.
Hellblade was created with a small...
You're wrong, Fables. You're just a hater. Why are you complaining so much? I'm not complaining. I love this shit.
Whole team of just 20 people and extremely limited resources. Imagine what we can now achieve with our whole team of 100 people, backed by Microsoft, focused purely
You fucked up.
on Ninja Theory's vision.
By avoiding the hard calls for years, they turned a manageable correction into something far more severe. Leadership is ultimately a trust but very...
You should have been making more games smaller. Dude, back in the PS2 days, you were getting 20, sometimes 30, 40 bangers per month. Generation-defining games all the time. We're still getting it. It's just not coming from one platform. It's coming from few from this platform, few from that platform, mostly from PC.
Verified business. And they forgot the verify part. They also seemingly forgot that games is still a business, and this party was always going to end. My hope is that new leadership under Asha Sharma takes a hard look at what went wrong. That they
Not
have
gonna
real
work.
postmortem.
It's too late. They're gonna have to cut it. Microsoft is gonna have to cut Xbox. It's gonna have to be like its own company, maybe still under the Microsoft branding, but it's gonna have to go the ways of LinkedIn, and it's gonna have to basically cut all of the first party studios, I think, and they're gonna have to go full third party. And then eventually they're gonna inshitify themselves into non-existence.
Real changes to how they manage money and people, creative freedom, accountability. And if Xbox can do that, they can come back stronger. They can have healthier studios and better games.
I think we've come to the end of our time.
Yeah, and then the news about Sony comes out, and Xbox is definitely going to get rid of physical games also. I mean, Sony's doing it, and they made fun of them over a decade for it. They originally wanted to do it first, so, now it's the green light. They can go ahead. I ain't gonna buy it. I don't even buy Xbox games on PC. I just bought, 20 games in the summer sales, and I spent, $40. Moving on to legendary drops, talking about how live service games in particular are failing and why, and how there's just way too many on the market. And they're just not good enough.
I can't believe nobody has noticed this yet. Maybe they have, they just haven't put all the pieces together yet. But after watching all of these live service games that we've just seen completely just wither and die, and millions and billions just completely
We tried to warn them.
I think it's finally over, guys. Seriously.
Dude, literally everything that we warned them about, it's all crumbling. We were right the whole time. We knew it. Nobody listened.
Watching all the game announcements that we had seen over the past couple of months, I realized that they were almost entirely devoid of live service games outside of the notorious few that we see every single year.
Fallout.
Call me crazy, but I think that these guys have given up. Not all of it, obviously. I mean, there's still plenty of live service games that are out today that are still doing.
I think they've completely given up on everything. I think they're just not even trying anymore. They're just letting it all crumble.
Just fine. They're great live service games that you could be playing. Many of you guys are probably playing right now, and we're going to be talking about some of those to be able to contrast the good with the bad. But the live service, or the version of live service that these guys have been...
The live service games that I play are over a decade old.
Trying to chase over the past 10 years, the idea that every single player is going to be a cash register and these guys are only one battle pass away from printing money, I think that that is dead. It's done. It's gone and buried at this point. And it's their fault. They're the ones that did this. We don't have anything to do with it outside of just not playing those games in this case. But these guys had a good thing, but they just couldn't get enough. No, instead, they had to strangle that golden goose for everything it was worth. Just give me another $1. They just had to continue to extend the track on the treadmill.
Oh shit, people aren't giving me dollars anymore. I'm gonna have to take away all their stuff and charge more for consoles and games that they're not buying.
Ask for more time and more money and then flood this market with just so many games. But
I know what'll get people to give us more money. They're not buying our consoles, so we gotta charge extra for the people who do buy the consoles. That should generate more profit, right? That's always worked before.
I think the real damage came from something that nobody was even aware of. These guys got exactly what they wanted. While they definitely, without a doubt, exhausted quite a lot of us, myself included, they trained people to be insatiable.
We gotta have the biggest and the best. Bigger and better than the last generation. We gotta have the best running consoles with the best FPS. Meanwhile, Nintendo, we haven't been hearing any news about them because they didn't go for the biggest and the best.
To make it where no amount of content would ever satisfy them. And by doing that, they essentially put the developers on a treadmill. And now this entire industry is getting skinny. We've seen a massive resurgence and focus into single-player games with stuff like Crimson Desert, Resident Evil 9, Pragmata. Hell, even Rockstar is out here having the confidence to invest over $1 billion into what is still, at its core, a single-player game with Grand Theft Auto 6. So
it is probably the last one. I don't see a GTA 7 coming. I just make a fucking small game, dude. I don't even want a giant GTA. I want a GTA 4 too.
Imagine my surprise when I hop online and I find out that after going 1-12 with live service games, having the most high-profile live service failure in history and shutting down Destiny 2, PlayStation has somehow confirmed that they plan to revitalize the market with more live service games because...
Yeah, I already talked about this.
They believe that they are the future. And I thought that my first reaction would be, how have you not learned your lesson yet? But honestly, it just felt tone deaf because we just don't really hear that much about live service anymore. Not like we used to. It's kind of just become an afterthought, which...
Remember when they said single-player games are dead? They were still saying that while we were all playing single-player games.
Got me thinking, live service is in a really weird place right now. Nearly every single live service game that comes to market either dies immediately or gets filtered down to a modest audience. Entrenched live service games that we once thought were invincible are now starting to lose their players. Some games have remained unchanged, and then somehow at the exact same time, we have Destiny 2 that just fell out of active development, but it's also reaching the healthiest place that it's been in for almost 2 years.
The only ones that are generating cash or that are able to stay afloat are the ones that have whales playing them, like Wuthering Heights and games like that, the gacha games. Or you got the passion projects like RuneScape.
And that brought me to a realization. The version of live service, the version of a successful live service game that we want is still very much alive. The version the industry wants is effectively dead. Now, I don't want to say that live service is flat out dead because that really wouldn't be accurate to say.
Yeah, we've got all the live service games that we've ever wanted, really. The only things left are things that we haven't seen before.
Many of these games are still doing fine. Grand Theft Auto Online still dominates. Counter-Strike 2 and Dota 2 are still massive. Fortnite is not going anywhere anytime soon. And we're also seeing games like Path of Exile 2, Dead by Daylight, and Warframe grow, break records, or just keep raising their floor year after year. The most successful live service games that we're seeing right now are either maintaining, slightly declining, or growing slowly over time. Not explosively, methodically, incrementally, brick by brick in most cases. But
yeah, pretty much everybody's figured out what they like. I play the same games over and over again. Borderlands 2, No Man's Sky, Dark Souls. I'll throw in some new games that I've never played before. Not new. Resident Evil I'll play. I'll play every Resident Evil that comes out. But, like, I'll go back and play DOS games that I've never played before. I've been playing a lot of PS2 games that I've never played before.
one thing that almost all these games also have in common is time. If you guys actually go down the list of the biggest live service games that are out right now, nearly every single one of them came out between 2012 and 2017, with only really a few outliers. Path of Exile 2 being one of them, but that's really just an extension of their previous game, which is still killing.
Oh man, I can't wait to play that game. Whenever that game goes free to play, I'm jumping on board, and I will spend hundreds of dollars in that.
It even today. The ones that came out after that, for the most part, man, it is a graveyard. I took the time to really look into this, and honestly, man, I think the numbers would shock a lot of people. The estimate is not going to be completely bulletproof, because I'm also going to be counting in games that are considered anything live service, so whether that's a gacha game or a first-person shooter, but I found that roughly 160 live service games are either on live support, actively failing, canceled, or completely dead just from the past 5 years. And most of them are dead. We're talking about billions of dollars being lit on fire, and most of these games weren't even high-profile failures. Hell, most of you guys wouldn't even know what half of these games even were. Spellcaster Chronicles from Quantic Dream.
I guarantee you that I've seen them all. The amount of times that I've gone through as a poor person looking for games that I want to buy or want to play, I will look through every single game on sale in the summer sales. I did. I actually did. I didn't find any that I wanted to get that were exclusive to Steam. I found the ones that I wanted on Steam and found out that they were on sale on GOG, so I bought them on GOG.
Last Flag from the band Imagine Dragons for whatever.
They were all DOS games for the most part.
Reason Wildgate got shut down the other day, and I had never even heard of it. And yeah, it's going to be easy to point out some of the individual problems with each one of these games. Bad marketing, bad concept, terrible character design, whatever it might be. And some of that stuff is true and well worth calling out when it is, but part of this is honestly just saturation. Over 19,000 games released on Steam.
Speaking of saturation, the colors, man. The colors are like the biggest red flag to me.
Steam alone in 2025, it's not exactly surprising that some of these games just flat out disappear. A 2025 survey showed that 60% of players only buy 1 or 2 games a year, and only 14% actually buy once a month. That's 12 out of 19,000 games for the people that are buying.
Oh, look how pretty it is. Oh, the environments, they look so good. I don't play games that are meant to be pretty. I play Resident Evil 5. That's my favorite game of all time. That game is not pretty.
Buying the most games. That is like a point.
They got the piss filter. It's gory.
0.6%.
Everything looks the same.
Better odds
same
pulling
color
a 5-star
palettes
in a gacha game than you do getting somebody to play yours. And live service only makes that problem even worse, because these games aren't just fighting for a single sale. They're fighting for a routine, time, attention, habit. There's only so much of that to be able to go around.
And they all have storefronts that we're all fucking tired of.
Every single new live service game that enters into the market is just lowering that ceiling for everybody else. This is always
what happened to the experiences that last a few years and then you move on to something else that you pay a flat fee for, and you don't have microtransactions and shit, and it just fizzles out, and then you move on to the next thing. What happened to that, man? Like with the Borderlands 2 era.
Always been my biggest criticism against PlayStation wanting to release 12 live service games in just 3 years, because even if those games were good, they would just end up cannibalizing all the other games that they release. So yeah,
you end up competing with yourself at that point, and you can't afford that.
Yes, saturation is definitely going to be part of it. There are just too many games, too many live service games, too many demands for people's time, and just not enough players and time to be able to go around to give everything a chance. But I don't think that's the whole story. There is something else driving this, and I just don't think that people have realized it yet. I mean, look at the 4 most popular live...
Is it international investors that are seeking to destroy Western culture so they can buy everything up cheaper and push their own agenda?
service games that have been released in the past couple of years. You got Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, Battlefield 6, and Arc Raiders. All of them found incredible success early on, and all of them lost 85% or more of their peak within 4 to 6 months. Now, I'm not saying that these games are bad or down and out. Hell, I'm not even saying that their current numbers are necessarily bad, save for Battlefield 6 in this case. Those guys definitely need to pick that up, but it's really hard to ignore a drop-off this massive, especially when these games are supposed to be forever games and they're being made to be temporary almost immediately. I think what's happening...
They gotta do it like Halo did it, like with the Master Chief Collection. Even Halo fucked up with Halo Infinite. It should all just be in the collection, and you could just jump from service to service. It'll all just be like one service. That's what they need to do, combine them all. Why not, man? I thought it was cool to have like games that all have one single menu.
Thing is, the player bases are lapping these developers. Demand is now outstripping supply, at least contextually, which kind of sounds absurd to say out loud because there's just tons of games to play. There's hundreds, if not thousands of hours of content. And I'll admit to you that I've been brushing it off every single time I hear anybody complain.
It's like they're shitting on the wall to see what sticks. And whatever stays, whatever is the stinkiest, that's the one they pour the most money into. Well, if people are smelling it, that must mean they want it.
Complain about how these games just simply do not have enough to do, but when you zoom out, these games are getting absolutely devoured. They hit the market, dominate conversation for a few months, fall out of popularity, and then struggle to ever reclaim that first wave of attention. And there's a lot of causes here.
The main cause is people glazing it, and whenever people are actually talking about the problems, they get called haters, and they're wrong. And then all those people fall off. And we never even jumped in because of that. And then it all just goes to shit every single time.
Part of it is severe mismanagement. Arc Raiders not handling cheaters, Battlefield giving way too much attention to a battle royale, Marvel Rivals having algorithmic matchmaking issues, Helldivers 2 running into mismatched audience expectations and technical problems. Part of this is also just social media, YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, whatever else. Content creators have the time and, more importantly, have made an entire career out of chewing through these games at an absurd rate. So
yeah, they buy every single one, and regular people can't do that. They have to pick and choose what they want. And then the corporations see this, oh, people aren't playing games, they're just watching streamers. Like they're expecting people to buy every game. How many games came out for the PS2? I used to brag about my collection of PS2 games, and I had like 30 games. And that was everybody. That was an accomplishment to have 30 games. And now they expect us to buy every game, and we can't do that. But we still want to play every game, so we watch YouTubers, because we can't afford that shit.
All the content that you...
And not to mention all of the morons who are just glazing all the corporations for... I don't know why. It seems like they're bots, but no. No, they're real. They're just fucking retarded.
You see makes it feel like the game doesn't have enough, and then those creators move on to the next thing, and suddenly the game feels old before most normal players are even done with it. But
like I bring this guy up a lot. I have a friend. Let's call him Jim. So Jim will be playing a game, and it'll be like the worst slop. And I'll be vocal about it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Why are you wasting your time playing this? And then he will get mad and start glazing the game. And he's just getting into it. And I'm like, you don't even know. I already looked into this game, bro. Good luck. And then 2 days later, he drops off. And he's like, I got bored of it. I don't want to talk about it no more. And he'll do it multiple fucking times a year for these dumbass games that he spends money on. And he doesn't even bother to get a refund. He just drops off. Watching him play Assassin's Creed Valhalla was the worst, man. Because he was just glazing it. And glazing it and glazing it, and he was just like halfway playing it while he was watching YouTube. I think that's a big problem a lot of people have. They'll get super passionate about defending a game on social media because they're actually just on social media rather than playing the game.
I think the real issue is that these studios simply just cannot keep up with the appetite anymore. Most of the people that are playing these...
And they're spending way too much fucking money on bullshit that has nothing to do with the game, or bullshit in the game that doesn't need to be there, like petting cats and like building houses and shit in the gay shit. Don't even get me started on the gay shit and the trans shit. That's even worse.
These games are coming from already established live service games with years of content, years of habits, and years of chasing a carrot on a stick.
$30,000 party for Alyssa Mercante. I think that was Ubisoft that did that.
Publishers have spent years extending that track more and more aggressively year over year, not only just to keep those players locked in, but also to drain their wallets as much as they could. And
you know what a big problem is, actually? I hate to keep interrupting them, but this is actually a big problem I don't hear very many people talk about. They have a bunch of people at these corporations that just don't give a fuck. And they actually hate the people they're making the products for. And you know why this happens? Because corporations suck to work for. So the actual good people aren't working there. They're working elsewhere. They're making the indie games like Schedule 1. People like that should be working at studios, but they're not because the studios fucking suck.
And it's created this inverse effect. The games have lost their quality because the pace quickened, the monetization became too much to bear, and then players got exhausted and started leaving. But the audience that stayed had its appetite adjusted. Even some of the players that had left just the same. This is not some random change in player behavior. This is what the industry spent 10 years trying to train people to do. So now a lot of these new live service games are waking up to basically the worst audience possible. Hell, every single live service game is. All these audiences are trained to expect endless content, endless rewards, endless updates, and endless reasons to keep logging in, while also still being eyed by the most cynical audiences that have been pushed out of live service games. You have one dejected audience, and you have an audience that's just way too hungry for you to be able to keep up with. I think that ARC Raiders...
And you got a dishonest portion of that audience who's willing to just say that everything's great, it's wonderful, I love it, I'm eating up everything that they're putting out, and then they complain whenever the game shuts down, and they'll blame everybody except themselves.
This is probably the game that I noticed
the chuds ruined this game.
This happened the most with. I absolutely love that game. I thought it was incredible. I had so much fun playing it with my friends, but I'm also in the camp of players that gets exhausted by live service games relatively quickly, and I hit a point where I felt like I had done enough, and I simply had just walked away. But as I had walked away, I was still watching people play it, and I started to realize that while ARC Raiders had its issues, its biggest problem was that they just weren't prepared for the kind of popularity that they had received, and they just didn't have enough content to be able to sate the audience that was playing their game because they were playing it every single day, all the time, every single chance they could get. They didn't have the plans or the infrastructure to be able to capitalize on it. And I'm not even sure that they should even try to do that, because at a certain point, chasing that kind of audience would almost certainly come at the cost of the updates themselves, because you're trying to push them out faster, which means they're going to be at a lower quality. Looking at their initial roadmap, a new map and an expedition to sink resources into, a couple of new enemies, and some weather conditions every couple of months or so is not going to be enough to bring people back, or even to keep them playing for very long. Not with the kind of audience.
Yeah, that's when you got to open it up to third-party servers and let people run their own servers
that they suddenly had.
If you can't handle it,
that initial flame alive. Every update would have had to have been more drastic than the last. Effectively a new game every single time they updated the game. Bigger
let people run third-party servers, and they can have mods add their own content.
Changes to the map, bigger changes to their objectives, crafting, engagements, progression, everything. At that point, you're not supporting the game anymore. You're just feeding a machine. This is completely the fault of the industry. These games are being devoured at a record pace. Now,
yeah, and meanwhile, with the live service issue like that with the updates, No Man's Sky has no storefront, and they still do updates all the fucking time. And I never run out of content. I still haven't even done the main content. I haven't done all of it. And they're still updating it and updating it. And it's been years, and I can't keep up with their updates, and I fucking love it. Every day I discover something new. Well, not every day, but I'm discovering new shit all the time. Sometimes I'll waste a week literally doing nothing but sitting and collecting resources on a planet just because I like the vibes of having No Man's Sky open.
Now, I know this is going to resonate with a lot of you guys, but rewind the clock back a few years, and whether it was fighting games, first-person shooters, hell, even MMOs, even the most successful MMOs that we see today are still basically the same.
I just like the old games vibes more. They have better style. They're not trying to look so realistic. And a lot of times these more cartoonish games look too cartoonish. I don't know, too 3D compared to the old games.
Same. There's a little bit more pace to their updates, but still, we used to...
I think games a lot of times just look too good compared to what they used to be. And they don't need to be like that.
be able to have these games as daily drivers, and we would be completely fine without seeing any content added to these games. Obviously, map packs and expansions would later extend the life of those games, but after that, over time, it just became faster and faster. More money, more content, more money, more content. And while you're going to end up losing some players along the way, guys like me that just get exhausted by it, eventually that audience is going to start to adapt to those games and the size of those games. And once they do, well, now it's a problem for the industry itself. It's the problem you've created for your own games in a lot of cases. What's happening here is that these games simply just don't have enough content anymore to actually be able to say to anybody. And none of that content is good when they...
It's because they're focusing on making it look really good. Focusing on assets and licensing deals.
Or when they are able to fill that need because they're putting it out so fast that, well, it's not really worth much of anything. And when these games come in and they just flood the market with even more of these games, well, now the players are in a position where they can go and play one of those new games. They can go fill that need somewhere else, and then they might maybe circle back to yours. In most cases, they never do. And the only way that you're going to bring those players back is by raising the bar to an impossible level. And
my favorite, in quotes, live service games, my favorite online games are single player. I hate to go back to Borderlands 2 and No Man's Sky. Borderlands 2, it can be played like an MMO light, or you can play a single player with no connection. And same with No Man's Sky.
At that point, it's already over.
No storefronts.
You know, I think back to the days of like World of
Complete
Warcraft
content.
And stuff like that. And this is usually, or not usually, this is actually still today how a lot of these games run. Even Final Fantasy is the same way. Look at how long those games have been going. Their expansions are basically every 2 years or something like that. Well, they do have some updates in between there. It's usually staggered out quite a lot. Those games, and
they drop a lot of content all at once. I like that. That's like you're basically getting a new game. That's the way to do it, man.
There's already a lot to do to begin with, but still, at the same time, there's something about that slower pace that kept those games alive for as long.
But also, at the same time, if more and more games do that, then people will get tired of that. There's a balance that you have to be mindful of.
As long as they've been alive. And while they've definitely lost popularity over the years, they're still a hell of a lot more healthier than a lot of the games that are already dead and buried at this point. So, honestly, live service gold rush was the right terminology the entire time. These guys came in, they dug everything out, they hollowed out
we knew it. Nobody would listen.
The ground, and they have nothing left to fill it with. It was always destined for failure. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy of greed in this case, and it was always going to collapse in on itself. But that doesn't necessarily mean that success...
You're not allowed to talk about it, or you're just a hater. You want the game industry to fail, which is true. But I want them to fail because they wouldn't listen. If you don't do the things that I want you to do, then fuck you. That's all there is to it.
Doesn't exist in live service. It very much does. And I think that the games that are going to find the most success and the games that are finding the most success aren't the games that are exploding immediately to these massive player numbers and trying to hold on to them. No, it's the ones that start off small and then build themselves out brick by brick. When I look at all the live service games that are still around and a lot of the ones that have...
Even Fortnite was like that. Fortnite started small. It was actually a failure at first because they didn't even have their Battle Royale mode. It was just that zombie mode. It started small. And then it caught traction. And then they added, and they added, and they added, and then it became the biggest game of all time. It didn't come out the gate swinging.
Come and gone. I think the most successful version of live service isn't the game that explodes to hundreds of thousands of players or even millions of players and then tries to flood them with as much content as possible. It's the games that never aim to be big, start small, build slowly, and then set the right appetite from the beginning. And the best, and honestly, probably the most fascinating example of all of this is actually Warframe. Now, Warframe is not the most popular game. It has
I love Warframe.
Popularity.
I used to play that game way too much. I should re-download it.
But its life is basically the inverse of nearly every live service game in all of existence. Most of these games explode, plateau, and then decline. Warframe started out modestly, and then for now over a decade, the game has just continued to raise its floor year over year. And
you know what really kicked it off? It was like being compared to Destiny, and a lot of people just liked it more than Destiny. And Destiny was a paid experience. Talking about the original Destiny. And then Destiny 2 came out, and it was a complete disaster. And I think that was just better for Warframe.
And it did that by effectively doing the exact opposite of everybody else in the industry.
Yeah.
Warframe has updates and expansions, but all that content is completely free. It doesn't expire, and more importantly, it all remains relevant. It has a battle pass, but the battle pass is completely free. It has microtransactions for cosmetics, materials, weapons, hell, even the Warframes themselves. You can buy anything you wanted in the game, but all of it, if not most of it, is completely earnable in the game just by...
Easily earnable, by the way. I mean, there's some difficult things to earn, but like, if you pick out one thing that you want, you're probably going to get it in that play session or in the next couple play sessions, along with getting a lot of other stuff. Is good. Is just good. That's the way to do it if you're going to have microtransactions. And it's not being thrown in your face, and they're not doing ads and shit all the time.
By playing it, or if you want to, you can get it through their player-driven economy, which you also get through
yeah,
just by
there's that
playing
too.
the game. The point is that...
that bet that's even better than it used to be. Because I think it was like fairly broken.
Warframe is almost entirely stripped of FOMO. The character,
it was like 8 years ago.
It isn't on a stick. It's handed to you, and then you choose when you want to eat it or when you want another one. I cannot tell you guys how inviting and comfortable of a feeling that is. It's almost familiar in a way, like single or multiplayer games from like a decade ago, where you still get to share the experience with everybody else, but
yeah, I'm gonna re-download this.
You get to take it at your own pace, and more importantly in this case, well, the developers get to take it at their own pace too. Digital Extremes has a very strict whenever it's ready approach to their updates. There's no hard roadmaps, no hard dates that they set. It's just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. They usually have an idea of when they want to get something out, but they don't rush themselves to hit a specific deadline because they recognize...
You know what's crazy? I played this game 8 years ago. I guarantee you if I try and sign into my account, it's still active. It still works.
That that's unfair to both themselves and the players. And while Warframe has had plenty of issues with updates in the past, and not every single update's going to be a hit, their consistency with aiming for quality over speed and quantity has conditioned their audience to be more patient, more casual, and more excited when new content finally does drop, giving these guys something to actually look forward to. I've been playing a lot of Destiny recently after its final update, and now that there isn't a clear future for the game, or even if the future is that it's actually just over, it has honestly been the most fun that I've had with Destiny in a long time.
I can't play it, man. I'm on Linux. It won't let me.
There is so much content to play, and I'm in no rush to complete it. I'm not holding my friends back by not being able to be online every single day, and we're just kind of just having fun with it. And I think a lot of people feel the exact same way. It's why the game, without any new content being added, is averaging the highest player numbers it's seen in almost 2 years. And
it's almost like people just wanted a complete game, which is what they should have done with Destiny in the fucking first place. Just release like the DLCs. Don't do the updates. Just release the DLCs and then have the game complete, and there you go. The problem is they remove a whole bunch of shit with the updates. It needs to be like a Borderlands experience, but now it kind of is. But I still can't fucking play it.
It makes me think that Destiny should have been a lot more like Warframe, not in a literal sense, but it is...
Or Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, and even Borderlands pre-sequel and 3. I think it just like the way that flowed, you know, Borderlands 3 wasn't that great, but the way that it flowed with the content, with the DLC releases, I think that is the perfect way Destiny could have done it. And if they would do a Destiny 3, they could do it that way and it would succeed. It'd be fucking amazing. But they're too stupid. Corporations, they have no idea what they're doing. They're just chasing cash, and they're not actually into the culture.
The sense that the objective should have never been speed, profit, and a strict schedule. It should have been quality, efficiency, and just trying to do something cool.
Yeah, they don't know that because they don't actually play the games. They're not into the culture. And if they do play the game that they're working on, that's the only thing that they do. They don't get into the culture of other games.
Had a talk with
so they're just out of touch.
One of the biggest content creators for Destiny, and he was talking about how there were all these things that players had asked for, and how Monument of Triumph showed that the company was listening to them, and how hard it was to get certain things greenlit. He was talking about some horror stories from some of the developers, and I came to this realization in that discussion that these teams that are built to optimize for speed and monetization cannot fix the things that players actually need fixed, and they can't add the things that players actually want. Not because the developers don't care, but because the business itself is just not built for it anymore. I mean, something as simple as setting up a test dummy still takes developers, designers, artists, engineers, and sound designers, and also, more importantly, time. And that's all going to cost these guys money. So management is going to ask these guys, well, what kind of return are we going to get on this when we should have these people working on monetizable content instead? And while these companies do understand that goodwill has value, they can't put that on a spreadsheet. So oftentimes they just throw it on the back burner or they just forget about it entirely.
So fuck them. Fuck them. We warned you. You should have listened the whole time. Like, it's one thing if we're like, hey, guys, don't do this, you're going to crumble, and then in a week they crumble. But we've been telling them for years. So many people. And they just label YouTubers and people on X as haters and right-wing chuds.
And the faster and more aggressive that these...
But the chuds are who buy the games. The chuds are the ones with money.
These games get, well, the faster they fall apart because they no longer have the time to be able to support them properly, maintain their balance, and build things that people actually want to be able to make those players stay, which kind of brings us up to...
They also just don't want to make things that people want because it's the wrong people.
To another issue, one of the reasons why these live service games won't slow down even though they need to is because, well, slowing down is antithetical to their own goals. They want player numbers to be as high and as static as possible. So they want to reach every single player they possibly can while also keeping them on that track for...
Not every single player they possibly can. Right-wing chuds, not them. We gotta push the trans ideology. Even if a game is great, if they have, like, a trans flag and that's it in the game, I'm out. Not doing it.
Forever, and they try to accomplish this. They try to accomplish both.
Rainbow flag, nope, I'm out. If they have color slop, if they have bisexual lighting, nope, you can keep it.
And because they do that, well, it will never work. One of the biggest strengths of games like Warframe or Path of Exile is that they obviously want their games to be popular and they want to make revenue. They need revenue, but they're comfortable with just focusing on the audience that they already have. They don't overextend. And more importantly, well, they are okay with their players leaving and taking a break. Warframe bucks nearly every single modern trend out there. It is such a weird game, but they just fixate on their core audience and what their core audience wants. And while that naturally separates them from wider audiences, the people that do like the game absolutely love it. And that's where a lot of these recent live...
At least you get to keep your job.
Service games have been going wrong. The same problem that we've talked about with single player games as well is that a lot of these guys go an ocean wide and an inch deep. They're afraid to just fully lean into one audience because, well, they don't want to lose another audience that they could have had, and maybe they want to get that audience later. Arc Raiders, I think, is probably like the best example of this. They ended up trapped between two audiences. On one side, they had the PvE crowd that honestly just wanted to cooperatively play with other players and be nice with everybody. And on the other hand, they had a hardcore PvP audience that just wanted to shoot on sight. And while they made matchmaking changes to try to appease both sides, ultimately, the game itself could never actually support both of those people or both of those kind of players.
You should have just kept it the way it was. Just made it all out fucking warfare and like the people complaining, fuck them.
Players long term because
you make what you want to make. Do not listen to players. Players don't know what they want. You got to be passionate and make what you want to make. But if you suck, then you're going to fail anyway. And you just need to move on to doing something else.
You kind of have to decide what this game is. When you build an update around trying to hold on to
it doesn't matter what the vision is. If you suck, you suck.
Everyone and reach every single audience you possibly can instead of just leaning into the people who actually love what you made, you end up giving your game an identity crisis. And honestly, you make it impossible to support.
Well, to be fair, most of the people making the game themselves are going through identity crisis. They can't tell which gender they are.
I think Path of Exile probably has the best approach here. When I interviewed Jonathan Rogers, the head of Grinding Gear Games, he had said that every single time they do an update, it nearly gives the guy a heart attack. But he recognizes, and the whole team recognizes, that players need to take a break. These guys are completely fine with their game tanking for a couple of months. They're not scrambling to keep every single person in the game forever. They have a schedule. They're trying to push their updates when they can, but they're not going to lose their minds over every player who leaves for a few months. And because of that, they just focus on making better updates instead of faster ones. They're aiming not to keep every single player, but instead to aim to make an update that brings more people back to the game every single time. And I think that's the right way to do things. This entire version of live service that the industry built around all these massive games that were holding on to these massive player counts forever just isn't sustainable. It's not sustainable for the players, and it's definitely not sustainable for the developers. And
you can't tell them that, because then you just get 10,000 people telling you how you're just a hater and you don't actually play games. Oh, I looked into your content. Oh, you're right wing. We don't want you playing these games anyway. Get out of our game spaces. These people that say shit like this are just colonizers. And they're not going to stick around for very long. They're going to show up to your thing, shit all over it, destroy it, and then move on. because they don't care. They'll just pretend that they love it. That's what I'm seeing with Avatar: The Last Airbender series right now. It's failing hard, but people are trying so hard to defend it. And then in a month, when it's over, they're not going to talk about it again. Just like with Season 1. Just like with Halo. Just like with Star Trek. Just like with Doctor Who. Like, they alienated their actual fan base that would be talking about this stuff for years and years for a gay audience that doesn't care. That'll just pretend to care to own the chuds.
The wider the audience they try to reach, the more players they try to hold on to, the less these games actually end up being made for the people that are actually playing them, because, well, you just can't keep that many people forever without eventually breaking the game. So I don't think that live service is completely dead. I just think the version of live service that this industry has been chasing is actually...
Corporate live service is dead. Passionate live service, that can still be around.
Dead. Because, well, the successful live service is still very much alive. We can see it here today. We can see it out in a ton of different games. The problem is that kind of live service takes a lot more effort, a lot more time, and a lot more care than a lot of these companies wanted to give. You know, to be honest, I didn't actually take any notice of this until more recently, when I had seen that, like, live service games, or more importantly, like first-person shooters, have just completely fallen out of like YouTube algorithms and like Twitch and stuff like that. Well, these guys still have like a few people that are still watching them, and I think there's still some guys that are like, you know, Summit and Shroud and Peanut and a few other people that are still getting, you know, big numbers and stuff like that and doing really well. Largely, that space is kind of just dissipated over the years, and it's just not as attractive as...
You know what I'm seeing so much of right now? Single-player action games with swords.
As it used to be. And I kind of got thinking about it. It's like, man, like, is live service just completely falling off at this point? You know, I think what all this means is that
it'll come back eventually.
Need to surrender to the idea that you're just not going to hold on to all these players forever. There are just way too many games, man. Way too many games. There's so much for us to be able to do that eventually your player counts are going...
That's why Sony has to remove access to things, because there's too many things. You gotta get the new thing, so we gotta take away the old thing.
To fall, and when you struggle and you flail to try to hold on to everybody, the only thing you're going to do is hurt your game. That's all that's going to happen, because the content itself is just going to end up lacking quality and a legit direction to go in. I think that's what we're seeing with a lot of these games, a lack of identity in a lot of cases. And the other thing is, and this is probably the biggest one to be honest with you, stop aiming for the masses. Stop aiming for these massive audiences. Find a niche and then just solo into it as hard as you possibly can. Look at games like Counter-Strike or...
There are so many people. If you're going for a massive audience, if you're going for all of the gamers, there are tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people like me who aren't part of the massive audience, who aren't part of the wider audience, who are just completely out on the most popular games, just out of principle, because we know what they are. Not as good as the other games. Retros, indies, double A's. And I can play more of the smaller experiences. And they're not shitting all over me while I'm playing them. Not trying to sell me extra shit.
Or Warframe or Path of Exile. These games didn't get huge or didn't get bigger by widening themselves and chasing every single trend under the sun. They're not using extraction shooters. They're not using any of that kind of stuff. They just got better at beating themselves. And because of that, well, the audiences that they already had loved the game and just rave about the game, and eventually they start attracting other people in. That's what happened with me in Path of Exile. I just could not stop hearing about people telling me how much better it was than Diablo, and eventually I gave the game a shot, and sure enough, it's a lot better than Diablo. But, you know, I'd actually go to say that I think that the wild successes that we've seen with some of these live service games specifically over the past couple of years might actually be to their detriment. It actually might be the worst thing that happens to these guys, because if you start out small and build slow, continuing to build an audience update after update, well, like, you actually have room to grow in that case, right? That's what you've seen with some of these games. I think even like No Man's Sky is a really good example of that.
Oh,
that obviously has like a big comeback story at the exact same time.
And they don't
started
remove
off small,
shit.
had a really dedicated core community, and then the game just continued to get bigger and bigger with each update, and how happy...
I bought the game, like, I think 2 years after it came out. So, like, it was after it was, you know, people were complaining about it. And I bought it half off. And I still haven't put more money in it. They haven't even asked for more money. There's just free content for years and years and years. It's so good, man.
Happy the fan base was, and et cetera. It just kind of spread like wildfire in that case. And I think you see that with a lot of these other games. But if you
I'm gonna buy their new game.
Well, what's your next destination? definitely not going to be the top. You're going down. And then what ends up happening is you start seeing the dead game paradox kick in, where all of a sudden everybody else just starts leaving because they see other people that are leaving. So they don't want to waste their time. They don't want to invest their time in a game they think is probably going to die. So they just pack up their bags and move on to the next one.
Dude, that is such a fucking L, dude. Marathon should have been a single player or even a co-op campaign experience. And they should have made it like the old Marathon. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with using an old property and turning it into a live service that really had nothing to do with the original property other than by name. Is just, what were they thinking?
I think the picture of what live service or what live service success looks like is completely changed over the years. Or maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's always been the same, but these guys just try to build a completely different one. But this idea that they're going to make this game that's going to like instantly blow up and just churn out millions of dollars every single week, it's just not going to happen anymore.
Marathon should have been a Halo campaign competitor, not a fucking Ark Raiders competitor or Tarkov competitor.
And the version that is successful is slow and steady. I think that's the way to win the race in this case. But that's
also, like, what was that weird trend that was happening where all these companies were trying to come out with their own, what are they called? Like Tarkov-esque games? Extraction shooters, there we go. They thought that extraction shooters were going to be the future, like Battle Royales were back in the day. And it just immediately died. Nobody cared.
It's not what these guys want because it's not nearly as attractive. You're definitely not going to be able to sell it to shareholders. And honestly, it's probably going to scare a lot of these guys off, which it's actually probably for the best. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. What do you guys think? What state is your favorite live service game in? Is it doing good? Is it doing bad? Are you a part of one of these games that I mentioned today that are slowly but surely on the rise? I'm happy to be a part of it.
As soon as I start feeling bad about a game, I'm out. Like, I don't care. And that will conclude today's episode of The Gaming Draft. Like and subscribe.